The growing danger. The galaxy had known peace for hundreds of years. Different planets traded with each other, shared knowledge, and worked together to keep order. But deep in the shadows, a new enemy was rising. The XL Naga, a powerful alien empire, had been preparing for war, and no one saw it coming. The XL Naga were brutal and relentless. They didn't care about peace or diplomacy. They only wanted to conquer and control. The first signs of trouble came when small outer colonies stopped communicating. These distant worlds were the first to fall, taken over by the XL Naga. At first, other planets thought it was just a technical problem or a small disturbance. No one realized the danger that was approaching. It wasn't long before the XL Naga fleet was seen attacking more populated planets. Their ships were massive, dark, and terrifying. They had weapons that no one in the galaxy had ever seen before. Planets that had once thrived with life were turned into ruins in a matter of days. Fear spread like wildfire. Everyone was talking about the XL Naga and their unstoppable power. They left destruction wherever they went, and no one seemed able to stop them. On the planet of Zoria, the citizens watched the news of the XL Naga attacks with growing fear. Zoria was a peaceful planet, known for its advanced technology and research. But now, the Zorians were unsure if their defenses would be strong enough. They had always relied on diplomacy and trade to solve problems, but this was different. The XL Naga didn't care about talking. They wanted total domination. The Galactic Council, a group of leaders from different planets, held emergency meetings to try and figure out a plan. But the council was divided. Some members wanted to surrender to the XL Naga in hopes of survival. Others believed that they should fight, even though the odds were against them. But as the council argued, the XL Naga continued to push forward, taking over more and more territory. The galaxy was in chaos. Refugees from destroyed planets flooded into safer worlds, begging for help. Star systems that had once lived in harmony were now building up their defenses, hoping to hold off the XL Naga invasion. But hope was fading quickly. The XL Naga were too strong, too advanced, and too ruthless. Meanwhile, Earth had remained quiet. For many years, humans had stayed out of galactic politics. They had kept to themselves, building their technology in secret. Most of the galaxy thought humans were weak or backward because they had not been involved in major events for a long time. Earth was seen as a quiet, forgotten world, far from the conflicts of the galaxy. But Earth was watching. Human leaders knew about the XL Naga's rise. They had heard the cries for help, seen the footage of destroyed planets, and felt the same fear that was spreading across the galaxy. But Earth was not as weak as others thought. Hidden deep in their bases, humans had been preparing for a moment like this for centuries. The leaders of Earth held secret meetings, discussing what they should do. Some believed it was best to stay hidden, let the galaxy deal with the XL Naga on their own. After all, Earth had avoided conflict for so long. Why get involved now? But others argued that if the XL Naga were not stopped, they would eventually come for Earth too. It was only a matter of time. The debate continued for days. But with each passing moment, the XL Naga's power grew, and the galaxy's hope dwindled. The XL Naga had become the biggest threat the galaxy had ever faced. And unless someone stood up to them, it seemed like the entire galaxy would fall under their control. The question remained, would Earth reveal its strength and join the fight? Or would they continue to stay hidden, hoping the war would pass them by? Earth's big decision. On Earth, things had been peaceful for a long time. People went about their daily lives, not really paying attention to what was happening in the galaxy. Earth had kept to itself, not getting involved in the Galactic Council or any other galactic affairs. To most of the galaxy, humans were just another quiet race, not strong enough to matter in the larger battles that were unfolding. But deep inside Earth's government, something was stirring. The leaders of Earth had been watching the rise of the XL Naga closely. They saw the destruction of entire planets, the spread of fear across star systems, and the refugees fleeing from one world to another. The Xel'Naga's thirst for power was clear, and it was only a matter of time before they set their sights on Earth. In a secret underground facility, Earth's top leaders gathered for a meeting. This was no ordinary meeting. The decisions made here would affect not only Earth, but possibly the entire galaxy. The president of Earth, a man named Michael Terran, stood at the head of the room. His face was grim as he looked around at the other members of the council. They were all worried, but no one said it out loud. "The Xel'Naga are coming," President Terran began. "Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next month, but they will come. And when they do, we need to be ready." Around the table, the other leaders shifted in their seats. Some of them had already made up their minds, but others were still unsure. For years, Earth had stayed hidden, keeping its advanced technology a secret. The rest of the galaxy believed humans were behind in technology, but in reality, Earth had been quietly building one of the most powerful fleets in the galaxy. They had been preparing for a moment like this, even though they had hoped it would never come. One of the generals, a tall woman named General Hawkins, spoke up. "We've been preparing for this for decades. Our fleet is ready. If we act now, we can help the rest of the galaxy fight back." But not everyone agreed. "Are we really going to risk everything?" Another leader asked, shaking his head. "We've kept Earth safe by staying out of galactic politics. If we reveal our fleet, we'll become a target. The Xel'Naga will come straight for us." A murmur of agreement went through the room. This was the heart of the debate. If Earth stayed hidden, they might be able to avoid the Xel'Naga's wrath for a little while longer. But if they revealed their fleet and joined the fight, they would be throwing themselves into the center of a war that was tearing the galaxy apart. President Terran listened carefully to both sides. He knew this decision wasn't easy. If they acted, many lives would be at risk. But if they did nothing, the galaxy might fall to the Xel'Naga, and Earth wouldn't be safe for long. "We've all seen the reports," Terran said after a long silence. "Planet after planet is falling. The Galactic Council is in chaos. The Xel'Naga aren't going to stop until they've taken everything." There was a tense pause in the room. General Hawkins, who had been a strong advocate for action, leaned forward in her chair. "If we wait too long, it will be too late. The galaxy is looking for a leader. It's time for Earth to step up." Another leader, a scientist named Dr. Kim, added, "We have technology that no one else in the galaxy has. We could turn the tide of this war, but we have to decide now." The room grew quiet again. President Terran knew the weight of this decision rested on his shoulders. For years, Earth had stayed out of the galaxy's wars. But now things were different. The Xel'Naga weren't like any enemy they had faced before. They wouldn't stop until everything was under their control. Finally, President Terran spoke. "We've stayed hidden long enough," he said firmly. "The galaxy needs us, and we can't stand by and watch it fall. It's time to reveal our fleet and join the fight." The decision was made. Earth would no longer hide in the shadows. Their fleet, long kept a secret, would be unleashed. The Xel'Naga had no idea what was coming. Preparing for battle. The decision had been made. Earth was no longer going to stay hidden. The galaxy needed help, and humanity was going to answer the call. The secret fleet, which had been kept out of sight for so many years, was finally going to be revealed. Now came the hard part, getting ready for war. Deep underground, hidden from the eyes of the galaxy, Earth's most powerful ships were being prepared for battle. The massive underground hangars buzzed with activity as engineers, soldiers, and pilots moved with purpose. This was what they had trained for, what they had been preparing for all these years. The time had come. General Hawkins, the leader of Earth's military, stood on a platform overlooking the hangar. She watched as the crew worked tirelessly to get the fleet ready. The hangar was filled with huge, sleek ships, each one built with advanced technology that no one else in the galaxy had ever seen. These ships were fast, powerful, and equipped with weapons that could turn the tide of any battle. As she stood there, General Hawkins felt a sense of pride mixed with tension. She knew that this was the moment humanity had been waiting for, but it was also risky. If the Naga found out about the fleet too soon, they could attack Earth before the ships were fully prepared. Everything had to go perfectly. Beside her, Captain Alvarez, one of the best pilots in the fleet, approached. "The ships are almost ready, General," he said with a serious look. "We're running final checks on the weapon systems and shields. The crews are eager to get out there." General Hawkins nodded. "Good. We don't have much time. The Naga are moving fast, and we need to be ready to strike when the moment comes." The plan was simple but dangerous. Earth's fleet would join forces with the Galactic Council's remaining ships and strike back against the Naga. But first, they needed to gather intelligence and find the perfect moment to attack. A surprise attack could give them the upper hand. Down on the hangar floor, crews worked on loading the ships with supplies and weapons. Giant crates filled with energy weapons, ammunition, and medical kits were being lifted into the cargo holds. Pilots ran through final simulations, preparing themselves mentally for the battles ahead. One of the younger pilots, Lieutenant Sarah Mills, sat in the cockpit of her fighter, running through the pre-flight checklist. She was nervous, but also excited. This was what she had trained for her entire life. The thought of going into battle was terrifying, but she knew that this was humanity's chance to make a difference. She wasn't going to back down now. As she completed the checklist, Sarah looked out at the other ships in the hangar, hundreds of them, all ready to launch into space at a moment's notice. The thought of flying alongside them, fighting for Earth's survival, filled her with a sense of purpose. Back on the command deck, General Hawkins turned to Captain Alvarez again. "We need to make sure the rest of the galaxy doesn't see us coming," she said. "Once we launch, there's no turning back." Alvarez nodded. "We'll maintain full radio silence. No one outside of this base will know what's happening until we're ready to reveal the fleet." Earth had managed to keep its secret fleet hidden for so long, but now it was time to use it. The galaxy was expecting nothing from humanity, but that was about to change. The Naga had no idea what kind of force was about to be unleashed upon them. As the preparations continued, the atmosphere in the base grew more intense. Everyone knew that this was a make-or-break moment for Earth. If the fleet succeeded, they could change the course of the war. If they failed, it could mean the end for humanity, and possibly the entire galaxy. Finally, after hours of hard work, the ships were ready. The crews stood by, waiting for the final orders. General Hawkins took one last look at the fleet, feeling the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. "It's time," she said quietly to herself. Then, turning to Captain Alvarez, she gave the order. "Prepare the fleet for launch." The hangar doors began to open, revealing the dark void of space beyond. One by one, the massive ships started to power up, their engines roaring to life. The time had come for Earth to make its move. Humanity was about to enter the war, and the galaxy would never be the same. The fleet awakens. The galaxy was quiet, unaware of what was about to happen. For centuries, humanity had remained hidden, quietly building its strength. Now, that silence was about to be broken. Earth's fleet, the most powerful and advanced force ever built by humans, was finally ready to awaken. In the deep space surrounding Earth, the fleet lay hidden within secret bases scattered across the solar system. Thousands of ships, equipped with the most advanced technology humans had ever created, waited in silence. They had been kept in perfect condition, maintained by a small army of engineers and technicians who had worked in secrecy for years. General Hawkins stood aboard the flagship, the Resolute. From the command deck, she had a clear view of the fleet through the massive windows. The ships looked like giants, their sleek designs glowing faintly under the stars. It was a sight that no one outside of Earth had ever seen, and soon it would change the course of history. "Is everything ready?" General Hawkins asked, her voice calm but filled with authority. Captain Alvarez, who had been her right-hand man through the entire preparation, nodded. "The crews are in position, General. All systems are online. We're ready to move on your command." For a moment, General Hawkins stared out into the vastness of space. She knew that once the fleet was revealed, Earth would never be the same. The galaxy would no longer see humans as weak or insignificant. They would be seen for what they truly were, a force to be reckoned with. She pressed a button on the console in front of her, connecting her to the entire fleet. "This is General Hawkins," she said, her voice echoing through every ship. "For years, we've stayed hidden. For years, we've prepared for this moment. Now, the time has come. The galaxy is under attack, and we will not stand by while innocent lives are lost. Today, we awaken the fleet. Today, we show the galaxy what humanity is capable of. Prepare for launch." Across the fleet, engines roared to life. The ships began to hum with energy as they powered up, their systems coming online. Pilots, engineers, and soldiers all took their positions, ready to embark on the most important mission of their lives. On the deck of her fighter, Lieutenant Sarah Mills sat in her cockpit, her heart pounding with excitement. She had never felt more alive. The hum of the ship around her was like a heartbeat, steady and strong. She knew that the next few hours would determine the future of the galaxy, and she was ready to do her part. One by one, the ships began to rise from their hidden bases, moving into formation. The flagship, the Resolute, led the way, its massive engines burning brightly as it moved through the darkness of space. The rest of the fleet followed closely behind, their sleek, powerful designs cutting through the stars like blades. As the fleet moved out of the shadows, the galaxy took notice. In distant systems, sensors began picking up the movement. Communications channels buzzed with confusion and surprise. No one had expected Earth to have such a force, and now their enemies were about to learn just how dangerous humanity could be. On the bridge of a Selnaga warship, the alien commander stared at the readings in disbelief. "What is this?" he hissed, his voice filled with shock. "These ships, they're human. How is this possible?" The Selnaga had believed Earth to be weak, a planet not worth their time. But now, as the human fleet approached, the alien commander realized they had made a grave mistake. The humans were not the simple race they had thought. They were powerful, and they were coming for war. General Hawkins watched as the fleet moved into position. Her eyes were sharp, her mind focused. "Begin the first jump," she ordered. In an instant, the fleet disappeared into faster-than-light travel, heading straight for the heart of the Selnaga invasion force. It was the moment the galaxy had been waiting for, though they didn't know it yet. The sleeping giant had awoken, and the humans were ready to take the fight to their enemy. As the stars streaked by, the crew of the Resolute remained calm but alert. Everyone knew the stakes. The fleet's first appearance would be a shock to the galaxy, but it was only the beginning. They had to win. There was no other option. The humans were coming. And this time, they were ready. First clash. The human fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel, appearing in the midst of the Selnaga's invasion force. The transition was smooth and almost silent, a stark contrast to the chaos that was about to unfold. For a brief moment, the vast emptiness of space was filled with the sight of sleek, powerful human warships, their advanced weapon systems glowing with readiness. General Hawkins stood on the bridge of the Resolute, her eyes scanning the tactical displays. She could see the enemy fleet spread out before them, large and menacing. The Selnaga ships, with their dark, angular designs, looked intimidating. But the human fleet was not deterred. They had trained for this moment, and were ready to face whatever came their way. "Commence the assault," General Hawkins ordered. Her voice was steady, but inside, she felt a surge of adrenaline. This was their first real test, and it had to be perfect. Captain Alvarez, standing beside her, gave a quick nod. "All ships, engage the enemy," he relayed through the comm system. The human fleet moved as one, their ships shifting into battle formation. The sleek fighters darted ahead, weaving between the larger capital ships. The XL Naga fleet quickly noticed the new arrivals and began to respond. Their ships turned and launched their own fighters, a flurry of dark shapes racing towards the humans. Lieutenant Sarah Mills, in her fighter, tightened her grip on the controls. She could see the enemy ships coming into view, their weapons charging up. The sight was both terrifying and exhilarating. She had trained for this, but nothing compared to the real thing. As the enemy fighters approached, Sarah took a deep breath and activated her ship's weapons. Engaging targets, she said to herself, her voice barely a whisper over the roar of the engines. She fired her first shots, and her lasers cut through the darkness, striking an enemy fighter. It exploded in a burst of light. The battle was fierce and chaotic. The human ships, with their advanced technology and superior firepower, began to make an impact. The XL Naga ships, which had been confident in their superiority, were now facing an unexpected resistance. Human weapon systems proved to be more powerful than the XL Naga had anticipated. On the bridge of the Resolute, General Hawkins watched as the battle unfolded. The XL Naga were reacting with shock and confusion. Their once smooth operations were now disrupted by the unexpected appearance of the human fleet. The general knew that the surprise element was working in their favor. "Maintain the pressure," General Hawkins ordered. "We need to keep them off balance." The human fleet pressed forward, their weapons blazing. The capital ships unleashed powerful energy blasts, while the fighters engaged in dogfights with the enemy's smaller ships. The XL Naga were forced to regroup, their initial advantage slipping away as the human fleet continued to advance. Despite the fierce fighting, the human fleet held its ground. Their ships, designed for both speed and durability, managed to withstand the XL Naga's attacks while delivering devastating counterstrikes. The XL Naga, who had once seemed invincible, were now being pushed back. In the midst of the battle, Lieutenant Sarah Mills found herself facing a particularly aggressive XL Naga fighter. The alien pilot was skilled, but Sarah's training and reflexes allowed her to outmaneuver the enemy. She targeted the XL Naga ship's weak spots and delivered a precise strike, sending it spiraling into space. As the battle continued, it became clear that the human fleet was making a significant impact. The XL Naga's formation was breaking apart, and their ships were starting to retreat. The human forces had achieved their first major victory. On the bridge of the Resolute, General Hawkins allowed herself a brief moment of satisfaction. The first clash had been intense, but the fleet had proven its worth. The XL Naga had been caught off guard, and humanity had shown that it was not to be underestimated. "Prepare for pursuit," General Hawkins commanded. "We need to press our advantage and make sure they don't regroup." As the human fleet continued to advance, the stars of space seemed to shine a little brighter. The first clash had been won, but the war was far from over. The human fleet had made a strong start, but there was much more to come. The galaxy had been given a glimpse of humanity's power, and now the real battle was about to begin. The final battle. The galaxy had united, and the time for the final confrontation with the XL Naga had arrived. After weeks of preparation and coordination, the Allied forces were ready for the decisive battle that would determine the fate of countless worlds. The human fleet, along with their new allies, the Andromedans, Arcturians, and Vortigons, gathered in a massive formation, their ships ready for the fight of their lives. General Hawkins stood on the bridge of the Resolute, her eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the positions of the Allied and enemy fleets. The tension was palpable, but the unity and determination of the Allied forces were clear. The final battle was about to begin, and they were prepared to give their all. "Status report," Hawkins ordered, her voice steady. Captain Alvarez quickly provided the update. "All ships are in position. The Allied fleet is fully coordinated and ready for the assault. The XL Naga forces are heavily fortified, but we have a solid plan in place." Hawkins nodded. Excellent. Remember, this battle will be the turning point. We need to hit them hard and fast. Let's make sure the galaxy remembers this day. As the Allied fleet prepared to launch its attack, Lieutenant Sarah Mills and her squadron readied their fighters. Sarah could feel the weight of the moment. This was the culmination of everything they had worked for. She looked at her fellow pilots, their faces filled with the same mixture of determination and anxiety. "All right, team," Sarah said over the comms. "This is it. We've trained for this, and we know what we need to do. Let's give it everything we've got." The fighters roared to life, their engines humming with power as they prepared to enter the fray. The massive capital ships of the Allied fleet began to advance, their weapons primed and ready. The XL Naga, aware of the approaching threat, began to mobilize their forces. The space around them was filled with the sounds of war, engines roaring, weapons charging, and the crackle of energy blasts. The battle began with a massive clash. The Allied fleet's capital ships unleashed their powerful energy weapons, targeting key XL Naga vessels. The explosions lit up the darkness of space as the XL Naga ships were hit with devastating force. The fighters engaged in fierce dogfights, weaving between enemy ships and delivering precise strikes. Sarah Mills found herself in the thick of the action, her fighter darting between enemy ships. The XL Naga were relentless, their attacks fierce and well-coordinated. But the human pilots, along with their allies, fought back with equal determination. Each shot fired was a step closer to victory. On the bridge of the Resolute, General Hawkins watched the battle unfold. The Allied forces were making progress, pushing the XL Naga back. The combined strength of the fleets was having a significant impact, but the XL Naga were not giving up easily. Their forces fought with desperation, knowing that this battle would decide their fate. "Maintain the pressure," Hawkins ordered. "We need to break through their defenses and reach their command ships." Captain Alvarez nodded and relayed the orders. The Allied fleet intensified its assault, focusing on the XL Naga's command ships. The goal was clear: cripple their leadership and disrupt their coordination. As the battle raged on, the XL Naga command ships began to falter, their control over their forces weakening. Lieutenant Sarah Mills saw an opportunity. She targeted one of the XL Naga's flagship command vessels, her aim steady as she fired her lasers. The ship was heavily defended, but Sarah's precision and the support from her squadron made a difference. The flagship took heavy damage, its shields failing as the Allied forces pressed their advantage. Back on the Resolute, Hawkins watched as the XL Naga fleet began to retreat. Their command structure was collapsing, and the Allied forces were closing in. The final push was underway, and it was clear that victory was within reach. As the battle neared its end, the Allied forces launched a final, coordinated assault. The XL Naga fleet, now in disarray, struggled to mount a defense. The combined firepower of the Allied ships overwhelmed them, and one by one, the XL Naga ships were destroyed or forced to flee. In the midst of the chaos, General Hawkins allowed herself a moment of relief. The final battle had been hard-fought, but the united strength of the galaxy had prevailed. The XL Naga were defeated, their threat to the galaxy finally ended. As the last of the XL Naga ships were driven away, the Allied forces began to regroup. The stars of space seemed to shine with a renewed brilliance, marking the end of a long and difficult struggle. The galaxy had been saved, and the unity of its people had proven to be a powerful force. Unity against the enemy. The XL Naga's retreat had given the human fleet a much-needed boost, but it also marked a critical point in the war. The victory was significant, but the real challenge lay in ensuring that the galaxy united against their common enemy. The human fleet had shown its strength, but now it was time to build alliances and solidify their position. General Hawkins understood the importance of unity. She knew that to defeat the XL Naga completely, Earth would need the support of other races and factions in the galaxy. The time had come to reach out and form alliances that could turn the tide of the war even further. Back on the Resolute, Hawkins gathered her top commanders for a strategic meeting. The room was filled with holographic maps and displays showing the positions of the XL Naga and the various factions in the galaxy. "We've made a strong start," Hawkins began, addressing the room. "But we need more than just our own fleet to win this war. We need to unite the galaxy against the XL Naga. We need to build alliances and coordinate our efforts." Captain Alvarez nodded in agreement. "The XL Naga are a formidable enemy. To defeat them, we need the support of other races. We need to reach out and offer them a chance to join us in this fight." Hawkins turned to the map. "We've identified several key factions that could be crucial to our efforts. The Andromedans, the Arcturians, and the Vortigons are all powerful and have their own reasons to oppose the XL Naga. We need to convince them that working together is the only way to ensure their survival." Lieutenant Sarah Mills, who had been listening intently, spoke up. "How do we convince them to join us? Some of these factions have been at odds with each other for years. It won't be easy to get them to work together." Hawkins looked at Sarah with a thoughtful expression. "You're right. It won't be easy. But we have something that none of them can ignore: the threat of the XL Naga. We need to show them that this is a fight for their survival, not just ours." The plan was set into motion. The human fleet would send diplomatic envoys to each of the key factions, presenting them with evidence of the XL Naga threat and offering a chance to join the fight. It was a delicate task, requiring careful negotiation and diplomacy. As the envoys traveled to the various factions, they faced a range of reactions. Some were skeptical, while others were more receptive. The envoys worked tirelessly, presenting the facts and making a compelling case for unity. Slowly but surely, the message began to get through. The Andromedans, known for their advanced technology and strategic prowess, were the first to agree to an alliance. Their leader, High Commander Theros, saw the potential in joining forces with the human fleet. "The XL Naga are a threat to us all," he said. "If we work together, we have a chance to drive them back." Next, the Arcturians, a race known for their bravery and fierce warriors, agreed to join the fight. Their leader, Queen Aria, was convinced by the evidence of the XL Naga's destructive capabilities. "We will not stand idly by while our worlds are threatened," she declared. The Vortigons, a technologically advanced but reclusive race, were the last to come on board. Their leader, Prime Minister Zarek, was initially reluctant, but eventually agreed after seeing the strength of the human fleet and the unity of the other factions. "It is clear that this fight is beyond our individual capabilities," he admitted. "We will join you." With the alliances in place, the galaxy began to unite against the XL Naga. The various factions, once divided by their own conflicts, now worked together toward a common goal. The human fleet played a crucial role in coordinating the efforts, using its advanced technology and strategic insights to bring the allies together. As the united forces prepared for their next move, General Hawkins felt a renewed sense of hope. The battle against the XL Naga was far from over, but the galaxy was now stronger and more united than ever before. The enemy's forces were vast, but with this newfound unity, the Allies had a fighting chance. The stars of space seemed to shine a little brighter as the various factions prepared to take on the XL Naga. The fight ahead would be challenging, but the combined strength of the galaxy's united forces gave them a powerful advantage. Together, they would face the enemy and strive for victory. The final battle had been won, and humanity, along with their allies, had secured a lasting peace. The struggle was over, but the legacy of their unity and strength would be remembered for generations to come. A new beginning. The final battle had been fierce, but the Allied forces emerged victorious. The XL Naga were defeated, their threat to the galaxy ended. As the last remnants of their fleet disappeared into the void, the galaxy began to breathe a collective sigh of relief. The stars seemed to shine a bit brighter, and a new sense of hope filled the space where fear had once reigned. On the Resolute, General Hawkins looked out at the expanse of space. The battle was over, But the work was far from done. The Allied fleet, having fought valiantly, now faced the task of rebuilding and ensuring lasting peace. The general knew that this was not just an end, but also a beginning, a chance to build a better future for everyone in the galaxy. "Status report," Hawkins said, turning to Captain Alvarez, who was busy coordinating the post-battle operations. "Most of the Allied ships are in good condition," Alvarez replied. "We've sustained some damage, but nothing critical. We're starting to assist with the cleanup and recovery efforts." "Good," Hawkins said, nodding. "Let's make sure we take care of the wounded and provide support to any affected planets. This victory is just the start of a new chapter." As the Allied fleet began to coordinate with the various factions, the sense of unity that had been forged in the heat of battle continued to grow. The Andromedans, Arcturians, and Vortigans, along with the humans, worked together to provide aid to the planets that had been devastated by the war. The focus was now on rebuilding and healing both the physical damage and the emotional scars left by the conflict. Lieutenant Sarah Mills and her squadron were involved in the recovery efforts. They helped transport supplies, assist in rebuilding damaged infrastructure, and provide medical aid where needed. The work was hard, but there was a deep sense of satisfaction in helping others and contributing to the recovery. "This feels different," Sarah said to her wingman, Lieutenant Jameson, as they delivered supplies to a damaged colony. "We're not just fighting anymore. We're actually making a difference in people's lives." Jameson smiled. "Yeah, it's a good feeling. We fought hard for this peace, and now we get to help build a better future." Back on Earth, celebrations erupted as people marked the end of the conflict. The victory was a testament to humanity's resilience and determination. But amidst the celebrations, there was also a sense of reflection. The war had shown the strength of unity and the importance of working together. In a grand ceremony, representatives from all the Allied factions gathered to commemorate the victory and discuss the future. General Hawkins, alongside leaders from the Andromedans, Arcturians, and Vortigans, addressed the assembled crowd. "This victory belongs to all of us," Hawkins began. "We came together to face a common threat, and in doing so, we have shown that unity is our greatest strength. The XL Naga are gone, but the bonds we forged will last. Together, we will build a new era of peace and cooperation." The crowd cheered, their voices echoing through the spaceport. The atmosphere was one of hope and optimism. The galaxy had faced a grave danger, but it had emerged stronger and more united than ever before. As the ceremony concluded, the leaders began to make plans for the future. They discussed ways to strengthen their alliances, share resources, and work together to prevent future conflicts. The focus was on building a lasting peace and ensuring that the sacrifices made during the war would not be in vain. For Lieutenant Sarah Mills and her fellow pilots, the future was full of possibilities. The war had tested their limits, but it had also opened new doors. They were no longer just soldiers but pioneers of a new era, a time when the galaxy could come together to face challenges and build a better future. The stars of space seemed to sparkle with renewed brilliance, symbolizing the dawn of a new age. The galaxy had been through a lot, but it had emerged with a stronger sense of unity and purpose. The legacy of the recent struggle would guide them as they moved forward, working together to create a world where peace and cooperation could thrive. As the Resolute and the Allied ships set a course for new horizons, the sense of hope was palpable. The final battle had been a defining moment, but it was the new beginning that mattered most. The galaxy was ready to embrace its future, united and stronger than ever before.